Thank you very much. Thank you, Deborah, for that housekeeping. And I just give everyone my welcome, a quick welcome to you, but I would like to firstly introduce our International President, Suyong Nanalingam, so that she can give the welcome and opening remarks. Thank you, Suyong.
Oh, hi, welcome everybody, and lovely to see so many of you. I would first like to thank our SI Director of Advocacy, Lee Elwood Brown, and the SI HQ team for organizing the On the Road to CSW training, and to all the speakers, sorry, for your willingness to guide us through this journey towards CSW69 in New York from March 10 to the 21st. Of course, 2025. Oh gosh, I can't believe this. I bring you a bout of coffee. Okay, sorry. With this training and the materials provided, I'm confident that we will maximize our advocacy efforts at CSW69 and present SI as a united and impactful global voice, one we will be proud of to be noticed and acknowledged. This year, CSW69 will focus on the critical task of reviewing and appraising the implementation of Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action plus 30, alongside the outcomes of the 23rd Special Session of the General Assembly. These discussions will not only address current challenges, but will also identify opportunities to achieve gender equality and empower women, advancing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. For all of us at SI, it is important to understand the structure and roles of both UN CSW and the NGO CSW Forum. As the principal global intergovernmental body dedicated to promoting gender equality and the women's empowerment, UNCSW plays a key role in shaping global policies. In contrast, the NGO CSW Forum serves as a space for civil society organizations where we collaborate, share our voices, and advocate for change on the international stage. Understanding these differences will help us better navigate the experience and align our efforts effectively. I'm very certain that the resources and tools provided in the members' resource pack, which you will soon receive, will be invaluable in preparing us for both the advocacy at the UNCSW and our participation in the NGO CSW Forum. Among these are the updated SI statement for CSW69 and the relevant where we stand position statements, which we encourage you to familiarize yourselves with ahead of the meeting. So I'd just like to say a special thank you to our SI representatives to the United Nations, who are experts in advocacy at the UN. Your invaluable contributions and amazing efforts are very much appreciated by all of us. You will hear from them and you will notice so much work is going in. I hope the delegates will have the opportunity to meet, connect, learn, and enjoy the experience at CSW69 in New York. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing all of you in New York this March. Have a very safe journey and a smooth journey. All right, thank you.
Thank you, President Suyong. They're very wise words. Now we'd just like to, the reason that we are having this webinar, the objectives for the webinar is to gain knowledge about the UN CSW 69, as President Suyong has said, and NGO CSW 69 Forum, the two different meetings that run concurrently. Upskilling our advocacy strategies, that's collectively, and to help you plan how to get the most out of CSW 69, to set a path of collaboration between SI and the Federation Advocates for CSW. Thank you, Joe. I'd like to now introduce our first presenter tonight, or today, my apologies. And that's Betty Levy. Betty is our lead SI representative to the UN in New York. Sorry, Betty. That's your cue. Is Betty back? Maybe. Oh, she can't unmute. Betty can't unmute. Margaret, can you unmute Betty?
That should be it, Natalie.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Apologies for wearing a mask, but my husband is quite sick and he's got a contagious disease, so I'm back to those old protocols of wearing a mask. So I was asked to talk a little bit about CSW. Sun Young has mentioned some of the things, so I'm going to skip through this pretty quickly. But the Commission on the Status of Women, or CSW as we call it, is a functional commission under the auspices of the Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC. We tend to use a lot of acronyms, so I'm going to try to make sure I speak out the whole words for you. But it was established by an ECOSOC resolution 11 para LL in June of 1946, and it is comprised of 45 member states elected by ECOSOC for a 4-year term, and it's based on this geographical distribution of how many from each region. You can go to the next slide because I'm not going to repeat what Sun Young said. But just to tell you, if you're in the Bureau is led, CSW is led by a Bureau, and the Bureau this year is comprised of the chair from Saudi Arabia, a representative for Latin America from Costa Rica. One of the other vice chairs is from the Netherlands, Cabo Verde, and the Ukraine. So that is the Bureau this year, and they are the ones who are responsible for ensuring that all things go smoothly. In 1996, the ECOSOC expanded the Commission's mandate to take on the leading role of the review and monitoring of the process on the Beijing Platform for Action, or BAMFA, as you hear it referred to. And excuse me, and this is reviewed every 5 years. We call them anniversary years, and this is an anniversary year. The theme this year, because it is an anniversary year, will focus on the appraisal of the implementation of BAMFA and the outcomes of the 23rd Special Assembly session of the General Assembly, or the GA, as we call it. Next slide. Okay, so CSW usually has what we call an agreed conclusions. And many years, some of you have participated in following the negotiations that have gone on, and often they spill over until the 9th hour or the 11th hour and 59 seconds of the Commission. This year, however, because it is a review year, there is no agreed conclusions. Instead, there is what is called a political declaration. And this is a statement of intent by heads of states or ministers normally presented for their governments. The political declaration has already begun to be negotiated. The timelines of it are actually at 2:30 this morning. Red 1 has already come out. We have to get our comments in by today noon, or we will not be able to have any influence on any changes we see or need to be done for for Rev 1. The timeline is that the first reading will be Monday, the 17th. And a reading means that's when member states get together and they informally discuss what is going to happen with the language. They're not quite yet negotiating it. They're throwing out new ideas. That's why I say that if we don't get our ideas in by 12 noon today, countries will not be able to get it in, and groups will not be able to get it in to this discussion on Monday. When I say groups, I am not talking about groups like Soroptimist. I'm talking about member states form these formal or informal kinds of groups that they negotiate in. For example, the EU, which is a formal European Commission with its own headquarters and whatever, they come up with a joint statement that they present as a group, or GRULAG in the Latin America region, so that's what I'm talking about when I say groups. This is an intergovernmental process. Civil society is only able to give suggestions through friendly member states or friendly groups. We do not have any direct impact on this. So the first reading will be the 17th. Depending on how well that goes, they may go over to the 18th. The draft will be finalized on February 21st. The second reading will take place the 25th and the 26th of February. The final negotiations will be February 27th and 28th, and the agreed text will be delivered by February 28th. Now, those last few things from the second reading on are where the governments really negotiate, and that's where they do what we call language smithing. That's where we decide the word, can gender be in anything? Can, are human rights in there? So that's the time when that'll happen. Up until that point, it's all just everybody throwing in their things. The compilation text, as usual, is hundreds of pages, long. Okay, what will happen, I don't know if many of you follow the multi-year program of work, or MyPow, as you will hear it defined, but this is really a significant thing for groups. Like groups for us to participate in, because this is where the themes are selected. This is where it says whether or not civil society has a role. This will be negotiated during CSW. So if you have interest in that, that's something you should follow up on. In the draft of MyPow, the themes are there for 26 through 29. I'm not going to go into all the themes right now, but if during the questions people have questions about it, I'd be happy to do that. CSW revitalization is a mandate of the outcome of the SDG Summit and the Pact of the Future discussions. And there was mandated that ECOSOC review and determine if we need how to revitalize CSW, not just how to get more people there, but how to strengthen the implementation of BAMFA, the helping to achieve the SDGs and to achieve gender equality. On February 20th at 3 p.m., there will be the first informal consultation. The chairs are Ireland and Botswana, and some of us will be there in person to listen to what member states are saying. I know many NGO coalitions have put forward their suggestions for how CSW should be revitalized, and we're hoping that some of those make it into this final plan that comes out. We will learn more on Tuesday, and so we will be able to follow up on that after, not Tuesday, on the 20th. We'll be able to find out more how and when the negotiations will happen. And I'm going to pass it back to Lee.
Thank you very much, Betty. That's very valuable information and some key points as to what people can do whilst they're in New York, particularly with the multi-year program of work. As you say, it's wonderful. We really do need to have input into that. Now I'd like to introduce Bertha DeVos-Nevin.
No, I think it's me next.
Oh, my apologies, Marlene McLean. Marlene is also an SI representative to the UN in New York, and Marlene is actually on the committee of NGO CSW, so she's very valuable to us. Thank you, Marlene.
Hello, everyone. The main differences between the NGO CSW Forum and UN CSW is that UN CSW is the official UN event. NGO CSW Forum, we kind of have a space for civil society to meet alongside the official channels, and we gather together and we discuss all kinds of things. On the slide, it's very self-explanatory. We have over 750 events hosted by civil society, and civil society is just another way to say organizations not associated with the government. So civil society, we have parallel events, and the UN CSW, they have side events. So we kind of mirror what's going on officially. However, you don't have to be a UN delegate to get into the parallel events. Just a quick aside, CSW is discussing some security issues about actually attending these events, and you may have to register and get a QR code to enter the church center. Anything virtual, obviously everyone is able to register and get in, but if you're physically going to attend the center, you may have to get a QR code from the Hoover application, which is their application they're using, their platform they're using this year. It's still up for discussion, but please be aware that this may happen. And if you are registering for any of the parallel events, please try and get your QR code. And registration is open. And I advise you to look through the many events and register, as if it's a physical situation, seating will be limited. Okay, let me move on from here. Yes, we have the official commission on the UN grounds, and it's coordinated by UN Women. And as I mentioned, they host the side events. Betty mentioned the outcome document, which this year will be a political declaration. And that is negotiated by the member states. And only official ECOSOC accredited organizations can officially register. And ECOSOC is the UN Economic and Social Council. It's one of the arms of the UN. And if you're not accredited by them, you can't put in your opinion, so to speak. At the forum, as I mentioned, we have the many parallel events. It's organized by NGO CSW New York. It's hosted virtually and in person by many different civil society organizations, including ours. We have events planned, so please look them up and try to attend. We, NGO CSW as a group has recommendations that they offer to UN CSW to hopefully be included in the outcome document. Next slide, please. The role of NGO CSW is to inform, engage, and inspire grassroots efforts and concerning gender equality advocacy around the world. The structure of NGO CSW Forum. As I mentioned, it's organized by and for the global civil society, non-governmental organizations, and feminists from around the world. The participation, many ways to participate. As I mentioned, the parallel events, which are hosted by any of the CSOs who are interested, and it's totally organized by the hosts. It has nothing to do with NGO CSW. It's a way for networking with other organizations. You have an opportunity to attend regional caucuses, hosted again by the individual CSOs. And NGO CSW has a few regions. There's the European and North American. Now, of course, I've lost my place. Okay, we have the African states, the Arab states with MENA, and MENA is the Middle East, North African states. Asia Pacific, we have Geneva, we have a Latin America and Caribbean section, and one in Vienna. Where was I? Yes, participation, as I mentioned, a way of networking, opportunities to attend. We have civil society briefings co-hosted by NGO CSW and UN Women, bringing together civil society, the UN agencies, and member states. And this is a way for us to get our input into speaking to the member states to put into the document. There are conversation circles, places to raise issues and exchange ideas amongst civil society. There's an opportunity for advocacy, where you can advocate for your own organization and the issues that you care about to the member states, various UN agencies, and other CSOs. And there's also an artisan fair. On the Wednesday, and I don't have the date, I believe it's the 12th of March, there is an afternoon where they will be selling various items from around the world, from various organizations. Every table supports a different organization and a different idea. And let's see, where are my general activities? I think I covered the general activities, the parallel events, etc. If you would like to host a parallel event, the in-person parallel events are full, but they do have space in the virtual parallel events. And that is, the applications are open until the 21st of February. There is a reception on March 11th. All the tickets are already sold, unfortunately. There is an opportunity to advertise in the handbook, and there are various tiers ranging from $100 up to $1,000, depending on what you would like and what you can afford. There's a virtual exhibit booth, which is $550. The deadline to apply for that is February 21st. And I think somebody already mentioned the Hoover platform, which we need to sign up for. And I think that's everything I would like to say. I mentioned security, possibility of needing that QR code. So I'll try to keep you up to date on that. And NGO CSW also has an orientation, which is on Wednesday, the 26th of February at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Okay, that's it, I believe. And I would like to pass the baton to Bertha.
Thank you, Marlene. Thank you very much. Bertha?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello, everybody.
you.
Nice to see you again, and looking forward to meet you all again in New York. I have gotten the task for a very, very complicated slide. We know that it's very important to prepare yourself for the CSW69 to be there and make the most value out of the time you're spending there. So we would like you to suggest that you read something in advance. Betty already said about the political declaration from the review of the Beijing Plus 30. I'm not going to repeat it. It's something that you find online, you find by UN Women, and you have perhaps the possibility to read the summary of it because it's quite long, but that you at least know what is happening. The second thing is, of course, the review and the appraisal of the progress, what is made of the 12 critical areas. And that comes from the 23rd special session of the General Assembly, the JA. Also, we will put every link to these documents in this webinar and in the version that you can look it up, because also Betty has mentioned that already. I'm not going to go into it. The third report is the progress, gaps and challenging report of expert groups ahead of the CSW69. And this is also, has key recommendations like strengthening the general equality, enchanting accountability, supporting interactions and intergovernmental national women's movements, and all these kind of things. Also, this is a report that we would say, look at it, don't go into the whole details because it's quite long, but take a summary and take the most important points from it. Then, of course, you have your national and country reports. And there I say that's something else. This, I would say, if every country has just made the report, has been mentioned before, and they worked on this last year already, they have given it, and these reports are now up for review. You can find all these reports online also from each country. And I think it is very important to look there at the questionnaires and answers, and these are also available at the UN Women site. Then you have also the regional reviews, and I think most of us, we all know that during 2024, every region has made a Beijing Plus 30 review given by the region. In Europe, you have Africa, you have Latin America, you have Asia and Western Asia. As many know, we were very active in Geneva to organize this also for civil society, where we brought the stance to the official review meeting in Geneva in the 21st and 22nd of October. These are key things to read, that you know, see at least where your region is standing for and what they find important. Then you have also, like Marlene said, we have the recommendation of the zero draft of the CSW69 by the NGO CSW New York. This is a draft that comes out every year, and they gather together with different people all over the world. Linda and I were always included in the our advocacy and research team, and we try to put out points who are important for the civil society. In this case, we of course have put a point in for the revitalization and the CSW process, where we recommend that it is more effective for all CSW stakeholders, that local, national and regional and global collaboration is there, and that civil society will have a critical leadership role. In the second part of the paper, we pointed out what are the most important recommendations is the violence against women and girls, the power and decision-making, women in armed conflict, recognizing the emergent issues such as AI and STEAM, and the impact on climate crisis and disasters, and prioritizing poverty for women, all women and girls. This is not such a long text. This is a text what I think that stands and give away the points what are important for civil society. Follow up, we have, of course, SI has made a statement for the CSW69, and where we have pointed out that we have 3 critical areas of the 12 that we really are focused on our goals, and it is the education and training, that we certainly ensure that there's a high quality, inclusive and long-time education for women and girls. and that the barriers such as poverty, violence, and unpaid labor must be addressed. Second point we find very important is women in economy. Unpaid and underpaid labor, particularly in caregiving roles, need to be addressed, and equal pay also. The third point is women and health. We all know if the women are not healthy, then nothing works. Thus, there were barriers for healthcare, and particularly in sexual and reproductive health, needs to be addressed. There is an urgent action is required to combat gender-based violent, harmless practices and limited healthcare process. And the call to action that we said that was important, the governments must prioritize gender equality through the political reforms, investing in education, healthcare, equal economic opportunities, and stronger legal protections. So that are the points we put ahead of the statement, and that is submitted also on the website. Then, of course, you have all other official documents of the NGOs who have written statements, and I really invite you to go to the UN website on CSW69, and you find there all other statements also which could interest you. Next slide, please. Now I'm going into the fun stuff. We have some social events, and we are waiting to be confirmed, but we will have a reception of SI, and possibly there will be a date around 10th of March. And also we are very pleased to announce that Nina Smart is going to have an opera, and she invited us all, and that will be possible the 14th of March. We're just waiting for the confirmation because there is a mission who is helping us. Then I'm going in, just like Marlene and Betty has said, there are different events. We have just the site events who are inside the building, meaning that it's organized by a UN entity, a member state, and civil society. You need a pass to go inside, otherwise you cannot attend these civil society site events. And some even require a registration and a ticket in advance. So please look at the website. These are not published yet. They will come around the 2022 of February. SI is already engaged to having 3 who are confirmed. That is on March 11th at 4:45, and that is about AI. The second one is on 18th of March, also at 4:45, and that's about the changing environment. And the 20th of March, that will be on human rights for widows, that we organized together with the Widows' Rights International. Then we have the SI parallel events who are organized outside the UN. You don't need a ticket for that. Some asking a registration because rooms are sometimes small, but you don't need a UN ground pass to attend this. We have a lot this year. We are very, very active. So we have an in-person confirmed parallel events on 11 March at 8:30, where we address gender-based violence outcomes and actions. We have one on the 13th at 10:30 and around environment and the health. We have again on the 13th at 12:30. We have the Soroptimist on the road of bridging the gaps. The 17th of October, we have at 10:30 mental health, and the 19th, we have at 10:30 Beijing +30 achievements and gaps. These are the ones in person. Now, these, depending on the room they won't be virtual. If somebody brings an own machine, then it works, but the NGO CSW in New York doesn't provide machines that can bring us to the level of a virtual access. Now, then you have also the virtual ones that are approved already. That's on 12th of March, the improving the outcome of trafficking migrants. We have one on the 13th, inclusive social policies. We have one on the 20th in changing the face of violence against women and girls. And we have one on the 21st of March, institutional mechanism for the advancement of women. These will only be virtual, not in person. Thank you. Next slide. Now, how can you participate in the CSW? It's very, very simple. If you are physical in New York, you need to have been registered, and then you get a letter from SI or SIE or SIA, and with that letter is also a confirmation letter. This confirmation letter you need to print. And with that letter, you need to go to the UN Pass and ID offices, what is on 45th Street, and you have to go there and ask your boss. It is a queuing thing. I don't have the hours yet of when they will be open, but normally they will be open on Saturday and Sunday before the 10th, because they know there are too many people coming and the queues are sometimes too long. If you arrive earlier than the 10th, please go and pick up your pass as soon as possible. So that's one thing. You have to have this pass, and you have the registration to go into the building if you want to attend side events. For the parallel events, you have to register on the WAVA, and you have to download this and to go and register depending on what the NGOs are asking for this specific parallel event. You have the regional caucus meetings. I think that Marlene mentioned about the caucus that is linked to the region. It's linked also to the regions for the Beijing Plus 30 reviews that are the caucuses. And I know that the caucuses of Europe and North America will be on the 14th of March in person at the Church Center. And the 17th, everybody can follow it online at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. These meetings normally give an overview of what is happening in this particular area of concern, just in this case, the European North American caucus. Then you also have daily, Lee will make it possible that we have a gathering in the morning inside the UN building where questions can be addressed to us, or where we can update you on what is happening or what is important to follow. Then you can, if you're not there in person, you can, of course, follow everything on the UN Web TV. And also some live side events will be on the Web TV. Not all, it depends again on the rooms. I know the small rooms do not have the possibility to go virtual, but all the big rooms and the meetings in these big rooms will go virtual. Okay, thank you very much. To the next one, please.
Thank you very much, Bertha. It's very intense, as you said. There's a lot in those few slides. We should divide them up, shouldn't we? Now we'd like to have Tanya Gomez-Horazzo. Please,
Hi.
Tanya.
Hi, Lee. Hi, everyone.
Hi, lovely to see you.
So, in my line of work, before I start, hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all here. And this is a very exciting time getting ready to CSW69. In my line of work, we always say 80% of the success of your work is getting prepared. Bert has given us the most important documents that are going to help us to make our talking points, to make our pitch, and I will share on the chat all the links I have available right now for you all to go through it. The key word here is be familiar. Be familiar with the Soroptimist International statement and get to know your country's statement. For example, I am in Belgium and I had the possibility to attend the CSW organizational meetings where I got to know how Europe stands for CSW and also which will be the preparation points from the Belgian delegation. And that will give me enough information to have my talking points when I am in New York. At the same time, during the Civil Society Forum in Geneva and in every regional meeting, we made great preparations about our work towards CSW69, the Beijing Plus 30 Civil Society Revisions, where we Soroptimists contributed to working group statements, where we made a consultation summary. And in the case of UNEC, you find on the chat the link to all the summary reports that NGO CSW Geneva had hosted as a result of the Civil Society Forum back in October. I would say get prepared when you have the possibility to get in contact with your country mission, share with them our Soroptimist International statement. That statement is available on the UN Women website. You have the link on the chat, and also on our own Soroptimist International website. So you can gather the information, get ready, make your points based on the themes you are interested, on the topics that are close to your heart and close to your working area. Next slide, please. I love this question. How can we make impact? We, as Soroptimists, can make such a great impact on a daily basis. We advocate always for gender equality. We amplify the voices of all women and girls, and we foster global partnerships that drive actionable change for all women and girls. But how can we do that? First of all, understanding where we stand for. On the Soroptimist International website, you find our 32 stand position papers. You will find also the Soroptimist statements. By going to the UN Women's site and also the UN websites, you can get a deep dive on the 12 critical areas of concerns from the Beijing Platform of Action. And those will be your talking points. Those will be your anchors to be able to interact with the different stakeholders present in New York. On the other hand, you can get to know how to advocate on UN level with so many good resources we can find from the NGO CSW New York. They have an application that you can download, and they will give you tips and tricks on how to advocate on UN level. So it's a very, very interesting app that I suggest you can download. And let me see, I will put also in our chat all the interesting links that you can surf after the webinar. One moment. And then we have the UN Blue Book. The UN Blue Book is the list of all organizations, agencies, and bodies within the United Nations system, detailing roles, functions. It helps you to navigate and to get contact with bodies, agencies where you can collaborate. Be aware of the diplomatic protocol. There are ways to navigate your way into these organizations, agencies, or bodies. Contact Lee, Bert, Beth, Marlene to get to know how to navigate the diplomatic roads. It's a very interesting source of information. Then you have the Directory of National Mechanisms for Gender Equality. And for example, for Belgium, I know who is the responsible of all gender equality aspects for Belgium. And in our case, we get in contact with this body, and there is a long-standing warm relationship. So we know how to get across questions, how to present our position papers, our statements. And now there is another important source of information where you can learn more about the CSW69 statements, and that will be always the UN Women site. Next slide, please. How can we make the most of CSW69? Networking. Networking is one of the most key elements for us because if we want to drive actionable change for all women and girls, it's vital and crucial that we collaborate. And how can we collaborate? By building genuine and meaningful relationships within our world. And get to know other Soroptimists, get to know according to the subject you are driven on, get to know other NGOs and learn about how the status of women is worldwide. Basically, get familiar with the topic of your interest, dive into our documentation, dive into the guidelines that Bert has provided us. And I would say, try to make meaningful relationships with all the stakeholders you get to know. Take the opportunity to network in a meaningful way, in a genuine way. Later on, we will learn how to interact with social media networks. And I would say before closing, there are 2 points that I would like to address, and that's choose the events carefully where you want to attend, to be strategic, to be effective, to bring your knowledge there, to learn much more. You don't have to attend every event. When the side events or all the agenda is ready, get a look, have a planning. In my experience after 3 CSWs, I would say plan according the topics you want to learn that you are an expert on, and that will give you the best results. Now, the last but not least, it's a topic close to my heart, and that's AI. AI, it's here, the future is now, and we are facing the intelligent era. To use AI, I will share with you 2 points. How to get acquainted with AI according to the platforms you use on the daily basis, and how to get a personal assistant during CSW. So hold with me, and I will copy paste some links in the chat. So point 1, get acquainted. For example, there are platforms that have put out there free resources for us to learn how to navigate AI. I have put several links on the chat that you can start using to get acquainted. And then the second point will be get an assistant. CSW is about gathering information, working on specific topics. You will have a lot of information to process. So you can get an AI assistant, and I suggest 2 on the chat. If you have questions about those assistants or about the Get Acquainted trainings, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, Lee. I think this is for me, the last point.
Thank you very much, Tanya. You're so well connected. You wonderful to have. I might just mention to everyone that Tanya's just been appointed as our SI Advocacy AI Advisor. So you can see how well connected and how much we can learn from you. Thank you. Now I'd like to bring on Elise Paola Pom. Elise is here, and I've asked her 2 questions as one of our youth in Soroptimist International. These are the questions on the screen, and Elise is going to speak to those. Thank you, Elise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leah. It's nice to see you online, and it's nice to see all of you here today. So what about the first question? It's also my 3rd time in CSW, and I spent this time together with Tanya a lot. During this period, she became a close friend to me as well. But let's think about how we start. So the first time I traveled to New York for the CSW was 2023. And I felt really, literally, completely unprepared to navigate that environment, so the UN, because I thought to have very limited skills to support me in that environment. I'm not a politician. I haven't studied political science or law. I'm a building engineer. So my competencies, my skills are pretty different from what I suppose to expect from people that assess that kind of environment. So what I've done, so I remember that I spent all my flight going to New York reading SI statement that also Berta and Tanya mentioned before. And that were really important to me to understand the language, the statements of Soroptimist International. And I've tried to grasp the overall direction of these statements and also to identify the key concept that then helped me in making discussion during the days of the CSW. Then when I stepped into the building, actually what happened was that it was the place that itself slowly taught me how to find my way, and literally the way that every one of us spending time at the CSW at a certain point in a moment decided to go through. So it helps, the place itself helps me realize that I was surrounded by thousands of women and girls, and not only women and girls, that will all try to change the world. So during my first year, I took away literally far more than I was able to contribute to the discussion. But by the second year, I was prepared. So even though I still don't always feel like the most qualified person in the room, I've learned that my contribution matters. And this is something that I would like to share with you. So your contribution, your thoughts, your idea matters in the discussion. Because making a difference isn't just about expertise, but is also about perspectives. And we are an international organization with a global voice that have different perspectives, but then go together in a global organization. So over these years, the first and the second that I spent there, I have gained so much new skill, a strong ability to engage with people that also include ministers, representatives of various governments, but also others, volunteers as we are. So I've built meaningful connections, encountering diverse perspectives, and explained my knowledge, expanded my knowledge at a certain point. I've worked to transform all these new skills that I acquired throughout these years into a strength and determination to do better, to have a greater impact, and to pursue the mission I have set for myself as a young Soroptimist. So to truly reshape our global society, making it more equal, more just, more inclusive, and more forward thinking. This is something that I really aim to achieve in the future. But what about the second question? So what about what I would like to do during this third experience at the CSW? So this year, I believe it's time for action. We have listened or read several times this word. So it's these three words. It's time for action. So the goal that I have is not just listen. So Berthe explained to you very well the different typology of events that is going to happen during the CSW, and you can decide what to be. This year for me is I really would like to ask the right questions that provoke thoughts, that spark discussion and drive meaningful dialogue. So when participating, we also have the time to ask questions, and this can be meaningful and can, open up new discussions. So this year, I don't just want to learn, I want to contribute to take action and to be part of the change that we must foster in a way. So as I mentioned, and also the previous speakers mentioned to you already, is that the engagement that you can have can be on multiple levels. So first, as a participant, so you can take notes and gather insights, bring them back to your unions and to your clubs and report what was the discussion there and what we can do as a smaller society, so in our country, in our cities. Then the second level, in my opinion, is how you can actively be involved in the discussion, participate into debates and foster meaningful conversations. So this also was mentioned by Tanya by saying that it's important to do networking. That is the place to do networking and connect with other people that are not just from our organization, but that spread out all the world and have different insights, different experience, and this can just contribute in a positive way to your final go back. And finally, the third level can be to collaborate with other Soroptim members. As has been already mentioned, there are appointments in which you can connect to the others, and then also to define and upload a shared vision for our organization, for our vision, but also for, at the end, changing really our global society. So these are my thoughts. I hope they're going to be helpful, and I really can't wait to meet all of you in New York. I'm going to back to Lee. Thank you very much for asking me this question.
Thank you, Elise. Do you have another slide?
I have. Probably I have.
Photos?
Oh, that's good. I didn't know. Please. So you can see there.
Next slide, please, Joe. Okay,
so these are some pictures that we have taken in these 2 years that represent both the inside of the UN Palace, the general meeting in the second pictures, but then you can also have a picture in the bottom part with the Soroptimist, as he mentioned, and also the Italian minister party in which we spent time there. So it was a great experience overall. Thank you very much.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Very valuable insights, Elise. Thank you. Now we would like to go to Charlene. Charlene is also an SI representative to the UN, and she's one of our 2 youth representatives to the UN. Charlene is based in Nairobi, where the UN has their environmental program. Charlene? Oh, sometimes check to see if she's online. Sometimes she has problems with her, just one moment. Her network being in Africa. I don't think she's online. Can you see her, Margaret or Joe or Hannah?
She was on at the beginning, Lee. I'm just checking to see if she's still on.
She's here. Yep, Shalene. I think she's just unmuted herself now.
Thank you. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to join you from the side of the
A little
world.
louder if you don't mind.
Can you hear me clearly now? Perfect. Thank you for this opportunity. It's exciting to see new faces who are eager for CSW69 and also for the opportunity to speak about a very important part of advocacy, which is the use of social media. So I don't know if, first of all, you follow all the platforms that SI has, from LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram, to Twitter, to X, sorry, formerly known as Twitter, to YouTube, where you can find a recording of this after, and a new platform called Blue Sky. We're also there. So I think next slide, please. For the CSW69, it's very important to keep the conversation, to move the conversation from the conference room, from the meeting centers, and taking them also online, because in this essence, you get to network also with other people who will also be attending CSW, and also get to like share ideas and get also different perspectives from different parties, different people. Yeah, thank you. You can get our handles on the chat box. Margaret is so kind, she's sharing them. So you can use quotes, you can use captions, but for a platform like Twitter, since it has a limit of characters that you can use, you can just post very brief and concise messages. For Facebook, since it's for connecting with friends and fellow sisters in SI, you can use as many photos as possible, use captions. If you're able to record a video of a particular session that intrigues you, you can record it. And also you can tag international bodies such as UN Women and also follow them. And also you'll meet that in these different sessions, in different side events, you'll have speakers, different speakers. I can't say which ones because I've not seen yet some list of speakers, but you'll find speakers who you can also tag them along in the conversation. This helps in making sure that the conversation keeps going on. It doesn't, the conversation doesn't end when CSW ends. So it's like you have the conversation going on. You can also visit the SI website. It's a good resource center to get, first of all, the statements that we have, the CSW69 statement that we have as SI. It's available on the website. Yeah, and also to get resources, and also to understand if you still feel like you do not understand the whole process. There's a lot of material. You can also listen to the SI Voices podcast as well. So yeah, there's just, I don't know, there's just a lot that you can do in social media. Those are just a few of the things that you can do. And also, next slide, I think you need to use hashtags. Hashtags are very important. So the hashtags that we'll be using are CSW69, Beijing 30, and at Soroptimist Global. You might wonder, like, why is it important to like use a hashtag while following these proceedings? Hashtags are relevant because it connects the whole, how do I say, it connects everyone who is attending CSW69, because anyone who will be attending CSW69, they will be using that hashtag. So in the process, you'll also ensure visibility amongst fellow activists, policymakers, and also organizations that follow gender equality discussions. For the Beijing 30, it's because we are marking 30 years since the 1995 Beijing Declaration, a platform for action and a landmark against agenda for women's rights. So using the hashtag helps highlight the ongoing process, challenges, and advocacy efforts related to gender equality. So just post, I'll say post in all platforms that you are in as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlene. That's wonderful. We need the younger ones to teach us and continue showing us how and what to do. Thank you. Now we will take maybe 10 minutes of questions and answers. And I actually have a message here. What you need to do is download the CSW69, sorry, Advocacy Resource Pack from the SI website. But you will find, we will circulate it to every member attending CSW. And this year it's in 2 documents. One is a delegate's handbook, which is the logistics of New York City. And the other one is the SI Advocacy Resource Pack. And a lot of the links and details, the documents in that have been spoken about tonight, there are links in that packet for you, in that pack. So you will be sent that electronically as well. They're very handy to have. Read the SI Delegates Handbook for the logistics, as I mentioned, and that will help you. We've got all sorts of things in there, from how to get from one of the 3 airports into New York City if you want to take public transport, medical information, just general things. So it's hopefully handy, and please give us feedback so we can adjust that to benefit everyone as we go forward each year. And download the NGO CSW69 Hoover app. So this Hoover app, you've heard Marlene speak about it. You've heard a number of the speakers talk about the Hoover app, and that will give you your daily program for the NGO CSW69. So they're just 3 quick points. And now we'll go to questions and answers. Thank you, Joe. I did see one earlier in the piece, and it came from Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie, do you want to ask it? And I'll get Betty to respond to it. It was to do with the difference between the political declaration and the agreed conclusions. Dawn Marie, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, actually, I think I got an answer. I'd actually put the wrong word down, but I'm still curious about the difference between the two. So I was hoping that we could understand the difference between, I'd never heard of a political declaration. So could somebody answer what those 2 different types are?
I saw Betty respond to you, but I actually think it's worthwhile bringing the whole question up, because not a lot of people, a lot of other people might be asking the same question. Betty, are you available to respond?
Yes, yes. So
Please.
political, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good. So agreed conclusions are around a specific theme or session. They are very directed. So in Tanya was just talking about AI. So a couple of years ago, the theme of CSW was, about communications and technology and all of that. So the agreed conclusions focused on that theme. It is only around that theme. And I mean, there's always a statement for CSW that we recommit or reaffirm the Beijing Platform for Action. But it is very theme specific and specific to a topic. Political declarations happen every year for things like UNGA, which is UN General Assembly Week. They happen, it happened for the SDG Summit or any big type of thing. They usually happen for the 5-year reviews. We just had one last year for ICPD, which is the, another important program for women. That was the 30th anniversary last year. We will also have this year a political declaration. It's happening this week, for the CSOC-D. So political declarations are done at a head of state level, which means that while there's prep done within countries at the national level and then within regions or within groups to come up with a position. And then that comes back to what's happening now when I was discussing the political informal consultations and then negotiations that come across that what the UN in general is going to take on as their focus coming out of a review year, an anniversary year, or a special event, and that the heads of state are agreeing that their governments will also agree to this. There is also something that I wrote in there, which is a ministerial. On some years, there is a ministerial declaration and not a political declaration. It is, that is done at a minister's level. So it might be the Minister of Finance, for example, might be the person, if it's something to do with financing for development, they might be the person who has to sign off on it and then presents it. Excuse me. Political declarations and ministerial declarations tend to be much shorter. HLPF has one every year. Every 5 years, it is a political because it is a joint session between the General Assembly and ECOSOC. And the other years it's ministerial. That's why I'm bringing that up, because you will see there'll be negotiations around ministerial debates. I don't know, Dawn, did that answer your questions?
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Betty, and thank you, Dawn Marie. I
Oh,
did
just
not
one
pick up
more,
any.
I'm sorry, just one more thing. The political declarations tend to be much shorter. They tend to be 4 or 5 pages only, as opposed to agree conclusions can sometimes be 20 odd pages in the end. And they're deliberately quite vague in nature because they are at a heads of state level, so that they want to be able to make sure they take into consideration what happens within government's own laws.
Betty, may I ask one question of that? Is there any difference in legal binding to, say, from the political declaration in comparison to the agreed conclusions?
Absolutely not. They're all voluntary.
Thank you. That's what I was afraid. That's what I was afraid of. Now, everything was moving so quickly in the chat box, I didn't pick any other question up. Hannah, or did anyone pick that up? Or may I mention to anyone that wishes to ask questions, at the bottom of your screen, I think it's the third icon from your left, there is a heart that has react under it. Hover your mouse over the heart and you'll see raise hand. So if you raise your hand electronically, your photo will come to the top left-hand corner of my screen and I'll know you wish to ask a question. Hannah, thank you.
Sure. Just one point I picked up on in the chat. I think a few people were asking about the Whova app. I'm not sure, Marlene, if you have any more information on that. I see a question here asking, if we are registered to attend as a delegate, do we still need the QR code? Or is that only for those who want to attend certain sessions? Marlene, I see you answered in the chat, but perhaps you can just give your response to everybody in case they missed it.
Sure. If you already registered and have a UN pass, you don't need the QR code. But if it is an in-person event, I would advise you to register, even if you don't need the QR code, because there's physically only so many people who can attend. So it's best to register and be on the list to enter with or without the UN pass. And I did put a link in for where you can register, but I'll put it again. And I'd also like to answer another question I saw And that was, are we having a UN event, sorry, a New York rep event this year? And it's a SI event, sorry. And yes, we are. However, we don't have the details yet. It's a work in progress.
Yes, it certainly is. And I thank you for the work you're doing on that, Marlene. Being on the ground in New York, it's valuable. So I did see Dagmar came up with a question right at the end. I just saw flash up on the chat.
Yeah, I think that's more of a comment, Lee. So Dagmar put
Okay.
in the chat, those who are in their country's delegation will have a conflict in the mornings for morning meetings because often the countries have their meetings in the morning as well.
Yes. We have discussed that because I know a couple of people can't make the morning meetings, and I was intending to alternate, have a lunchtime one, but there's so much on around lunchtime with all the different meetings that it's very difficult to get a second timing in the day to alternate to. If anyone comes up with a resolution, please share it with me. Beverly? Unmute, please.
I've just tried to get the CSW register on Woover, and it's asking me for a 4-digit code, which it's not sending me because I think it's prior to that it says, am I a registered delegate? Well, I'm not attending, but I am hoping to attend virtually, but it's not giving me a code.
If you, to attend virtually, go onto the NGO CSW website and register, even if it's for virtual, if you register. But Marlene, you might want to, I don't know if you know any different to that.
No, I have no additional information. I'll try it now.
And the way I remember how to pronounce this app and the platform that's used is, I think of Hoover, the vacuum cleaner. Yeah. That's how it's pronounced, Hoover.
Thank you.
I learned that last year.
Thank you.
Like Elise, you learn different things each time you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Claudia?
Yeah, I was going to say this code is just something that the app will send you to get in. So it's like it comes within seconds when you try to log in.
I'm not getting it.
To the same email that you used to register.
It's not coming.
Are you checking your spam?
Yeah, all the time.
You get a new one every time.
I haven't got any yet.
Well, okay.
If you don't mind putting your hand down, Beverly, and
sorry.
No, that's all right. Other people to ask questions will come to the fore. Any other questions? Remember that this particular webinar is going to be on YouTube within a number of days. So if you wish to look at it or you want to share it with anyone, check out YouTube, because that's where you'll be able to see it again and look it over, because there's so much valuable information that's been given to everyone. You don't need pen and paper. You will have a lot of the resources in the advocacy resource pack and the delegates handbook. And then obviously if you've taken information out of the chat as well. Oh, yes. Hello, Ina. How are you?
Yes. Oh, good afternoon. And well, good afternoon, good evening. I'm not sure. But
morning.
Yes. Well, yes, it is really early morning over here. I'm Dr. Ina Onikoi, and I'm talking to you. I'm one of the delegates representing actually the Soroptimists in Nigeria, but I'm living in America. But my question, I heard I'm really excited about the upcoming CSW, but I didn't really understand the MyPow. If someone could please try to re-explain me what MyPow really is. Thank you so much.
Thank
and for
you.
all the whole work you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ina. Betty?
Yeah,
That was in your presentation.
Yeah, so MyPow stands for Multi-Year Program of Work that the CSW Commission will cover. every 5 years, they come up with what are the themes going to be for the future years. Let me just pull that up for 1 second. And so the themes are from for going forward from 26 to 29. In 26, the theme is going to be transforming care systems towards achieving sustainable development, gender equality, the suggested themes. This is being negotiated. This is what was put forward. I want to be clear, it's going to be negotiated during CSW. Transforming care systems towards achieving sustainable development, gender equality, and the empowerment of all women and girls, accelerating implementation of Agenda 2030. In 27, they're suggesting gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls and their human rights across sustainable development goals, assessing process towards the implementation of the 2030 agenda. In 28, advancing gender equality, women's leadership, empowerment, and humanitarian emergencies, a call for global action. And in 29, strengthening women's access to justice and eliminating discriminatory laws. And each year, besides the priority theme, there's always a review theme. It could be on urban and rural women. It could be on climate. It could be on lots of different topics. So this is what's being talked about right now. Also, as part of the plan of a program of work, there is always a power on the role that civil society plays, what member states are held accountable for. And so while it does not get a lot of focus by most NGOs who aren't closely following the UN, it's of real major significance, especially for an organization like Soroptimist that is in so many countries around the world. Did that answer your question?
Well, I thank you so very much. Quite concise. Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope to see you soon. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you, Ina. Now, if there's no more questions, I'll just cap up what our wonderful presenters have some very important points for us. Our President Su Yong wanted us to share our voices, meet, connect, and learn. I'll add one more into there. Make sure you have fun as well. You've got to enjoy, which Soroptimists usually do when we are together. Betty gave an overview on CSW and more the technical information as to what CSW is. She explained the political declaration. It's not an outcomes document this year, the difference between the two. The multi-year program of work, which Betty has also just explained. But this tells us what as Betty says, it's going to be our priority themes going forward for the next 5 years. And I did see the list and I didn't think they were so crash hot for Soroptimists, to be quite honest. So I think a lot of negotiations need to be worked through there. And Betty also spoke about the CSW revitalization to strengthen the organization and strengthen the implementation, which is very, very important. We need to follow some of those up, and we can follow those up when we're on the ground in New York itself. And there's a meeting on the implementation on the 20th of February. Marlene spoke about the difference between NGO CSW and UN CSW, the concurrent meeting, 2 meetings that run concurrently. The NGO CSW has parallel events outside the UN building, and the UN CSW has the side events which are within the UN building. She spoke about we may need a QR code in the church centre, and then also clarified that if we have a UN pass, which most of us will on the delegation, we will not, but to register for the events because they could be over a lot of people involved. The Hoover application, download that, and that'll give you all of the events at your fingertips, literally. The registration is now open for NGO CSW. It's very important to go on to that website. You've all applied for the UN Women Indigo through your Indigo account to attend, but now you need to also register on the NGO CSW site for the parallel events. There's going to be an artisan fair on March the 12th in the afternoon, which I'm sure Soroptimists love shopping. Bertha told us to be prepared and to read up on really important documents, to review and appraise the 12 critical areas of the platform for action, your own country report, and both Tanya and Bertha went through that, the NGO CSW Advocacy and Research Group statement for CSW69, the SI statement and recommendations to CSW69, social events, side events and parallel events. And we know now there are a lot of them still being confirmed. So you will have, and headquarters has done a wonderful QR code for us. They will have a page behind that on their website, on our website. But if you have that QR code that will come out in the resource pack, that you will be able to go into at any given time, and it'll give you all the information on the Soroptimist events and the social events. The updates for everything will be on that QR code that you will get within your package. So the how to get involved, Bertha spoke about how to get involved. To print the confirmation letter, which is very important that you've got from UN Women, go with a hard copy to the office so that you could, along with your driver's license and or passport, something with a photo ID. So you must have that letter so that you can get your UN pass prior to Monday, preferably Monday the 10th. And we have our SI Daily UN, SI Daily morning meetings. That will be at 9 o'clock. Those that were there last year, it's just inside the left-hand side, further down. And Hannah knew exactly where it was. I might get Hannah to explain that in a moment. But Tanya explained that 80% of success in work is being prepared. So if you to maximize what you want to get out of CSW69, have your talking points available. Have the SI statement handy. Have your own country statement handy. How can we make an impact? All the links that Tanya put into the chat box, and we know, I've seen their comments about how we can have that available. So we might pull out all the links from there as well and see how we can get them out to you. Choose an event, be strategic. AI is already here. So the 2 points that Tanya gave on how to navigate AI, and she put those links in the chat box, and get an AI assistant for CSW. There you'll have everything at your fingertips. Elise gave some takeaways from her experience from her first and second visits to CSW or attendance. And her message was, again, be prepared. That's the same thing coming through. Set goals, and then take time to sort out what you want to do. The third year, Elise wants to action. So she's prepared. She knows what to prepare for. She wants to learn, but she wants to contribute as well in a positive way. Networking and collaborate with other Soroptimists as well. Charlene told us how to post, our hashtags and everything that's very important. So they're very, very valuable information that's come through all of tonight. And I thank the presenters immensely for everything that you've put in the preparation you've done. I thank you. I have one question. Beverly?
Yeah, I've just put on the chat there. It's just an observation, really. When I read the Soroptimist International statement, there are reasons why women should be more empowered, more involved in health. But I just wondered whether there couldn't be a little bit more empirical evidence. I know wordage must be an issue. For instance, and I'll put it up on the chat, there was a UN report that outlined the economic value to companies and economies of having more women in the more active in the economy, because I think it is a persuasive argument we need, and I think there might be an opportunity to each country to research whatever they have on and be armed with this empirical evidence. It's just a statement. It may be, I'm clutching at straws here, but I think real evidence like those statements, I think, could give our arguments more power. It was just a statement, really, not a criticism or anything.
Thank you, Beverly. You are right. There are limited words to go into those statements, but thank you for your observance. Any last minute thing anyone wants to, or we say good night at this point?